we wanted to be in it. We wanted to represent. We're an upstate New York company headquartered in Syracuse, New York. This is as big and bad as it gets. We wanted to come out here. We had a plan for Buffalo. We met with our advisors and our investors before we even applied and said, like, look, let's do this and let's do it right. We had heard stories of other companies, coming and going. And we said, well, let's put together a plan that keeps Sparkcharge here.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you may be listening, and welcome to Latitude, the 43 North podcast. I'm your host, Nate Benson, Director of Digital Media and Public Relations here at 43 North, and what a whirlwind it's been this last week. We just had the 43 North Finals this past Thursday. We're recording this Friday afternoon. Yeah, it is Friday, right? It's Friday? It is Friday. Okay, it's been a whirlwind week, like I said. So, without much further ado, we have the $1 million 43 North winner in the studio this week. Josh, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Josh Aviv from Sparkcharge. Of course, we'll get to everything Sparkcharge in a moment, but quick reaction, Joshua, how you doing?
So far, so good. Super excited to be here. Really kind of, glad that we won the competition. We're super excited. We're already putting together plans for Buffalo. We were at the University of Buffalo job fair yesterday talking with some really good applicants. So we're already rolling and we're already ready to get the ball rolling on this Buffalo plan.
So this isn't like the 43 North competition. It's not a 2-minute pitch and a whirlwind of information. So I guess the hardest question I'm going to ask you, tell us a little bit about your background prior to Sparkcharge. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so graduated from Syracuse University with my BA in economics, go Cuse. Also got my master's there in data science, information management. Started Sparkcharge in my dorm room there at Syracuse University, Booth Hall. Grew the company to where it is now. Super excited to see where it's going to go.
How did you end up at Syracuse?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting story. I grew up in Texas. Wanted to go to a university that was outside of the state of Texas. Syracuse had a really awesome economics degree plan there. And I wanted to become an economist, so went and did it.
Can't get much further from Dallas than Syracuse.
There's
not much further north in America than just a couple more states.
Can't go any farther.
So major differences between upstate New York and Texas, in your opinion?
Weather, snow. In Texas, at the time, you really didn't need a sub-zero jacket. You could get away with a little track jacket and some boots, but Syracuse, you need, full-on winter gear, as they call it.
Does the dinosaur barbecue brisket match up with anything in Texas?
No.
Really?
No.
Wow.
And I like dinosaur barbecue.
Oh,
I lived right behind dinosaur barbecue for about a year.
Which is probably the worst place you could possibly live because it's right there.
It's right there. Yeah. I ate there quite a bit. But, yeah, the barbecue in Texas is just...
What's the major difference, you think?
I think number one is, up here they use very, it's saucy.
Yeah.
In Texas, it's more of a dry rub.
Yep. Yeah, just black pepper. It's all you need, and some salt.
Black pepper, some cayenne. Yeah, there's a lot, but but it's just it's just phenomenal down there. Yeah. And I could be biased.
Sure.
I do like dinosaur barbecue, but there's no barbecue.
No touching a Texas brisket, huh?
Nothing.
So you said you started Sparkcharge in your dorm room. When was this?
This would have been 2014.
Okay, and was it just a late night brainstorming session? How did Sparkcharge get its spark, so to speak?
Yeah. So I took a professor's class, Professor Peter Wilcoxon's class, environmental economics, and he was talking about, clean tech and the future clean tech and environmentals, and started working with him, or started going into his office hours and learning more about it, created an idea for, to develop charging stations and put them along the roads, and then, pivoted from that and said, why can't these things be delivered or be in the trunk of an electric vehicle anytime and anywhere they want?
So so you're in your dorm room, obviously, you have the idea. What then?
Yeah, you have the idea and then you research it, right? You kind of figure out, is this a good idea?
Yeah.
Is this problem big? Is it going to grow? Is my solution good? And we really started, there wasn't a lot of information on electric vehicles at the time. There's hardly any. And so for me, it was more about just finding as much research and information as I could on the electric vehicle market, going and calling and talking to electric vehicle owners about their needs and some of the troubles that they were going through with their cars, and realizing that this was going to be a massive problem. It was already a big problem then, but the problem's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
The anxiety of probably for a lot of consumers is, okay, yeah, buying an electric vehicle, sure, I can do that, but what if I want to go 150 miles away and at the spur of the moment? Am I going to be able to find a charging station in rural Pennsylvania, for example? Is that kind of why you are trying to solve the problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I wouldn't say that's the why.
Sure.
The why for us is we want to help grow the electric vehicle market.
Okay.
We want to completely transform it. We believe that electric vehicles are the right way to go for our country and around the world to create a better environment for us. And we feel like if you can remove that fear out of owning an electric vehicle, if you can remove that, that question out of where do I charge and how fast can I drive and how far can I drive, then you'll open up the doors of that market to grow faster. So you'll get rid of more cars that have gasoline engines, and you'll make adoption of electric vehicles a lot easier.
So, explain to listeners exactly what Sparkcharge is aiming to do.
Yeah, so what we're aiming to do is completely revolutionize the electric vehicle industry. We want to change the way you think about electric vehicles from the concept and idea of should I buy an electric vehicle to when I own the electric vehicle, like how and when do I charge? Getting a charge delivered to you with the push of a button or with a voice command, anytime and any place and anywhere that you want it, right? We want to make it open and more accessible so that if you're living in an apartment, you don't have to worry about where your next charge comes from. It always comes to you. We want to work with roadsides that gets delivered via roadside. We really just want to create this mobile, on-demand infrastructure that's always on, that's always mobile. You never have to worry about where it is or where it is. It always comes to you.
So essentially, you're creating battery units that a roadside service, and I'll just use the common, AAA for example. That if you had AAA, you would use this service and get delivered your battery pack. And then also Sparkcharge has their own delivery mechanism as well, right?
So we're creating chargers,
Right.
So we're creating chargers that can be delivered to an electric vehicle owner whenever and wherever they want it on the spot.
So not obviously a battery company, because Samsung, LG, and all those giants out in Asia have figured out batteries, or at least continuing to work on batteries. So you've kind of come up with a proprietary charging unit that's
correct,
stackable and portable, modular. What's gone into, because you said you came up with this in 2014, it's now 2018, so pretty short time here. What's that roadmap been like?
Yes, it really took off once we got some really good engineers. So we have Christopher Ellis here, our CTO, who's done a really good job of actually developing the technology and moving it forward. Richard Whitney, our lead systems engineer, who came on. There's a lot of work and engineering that's gone into it, but when you think about it, the team really had to come together and essentially think of the charger from the ground up and how it should be and how we wanted it to be, and then develop that from the ground up and make the charger the way electric vehicle owners should have it. So really starting from scratch and saying, this is the way the industry is going about it now, but this is the way that we think it should be. This is a better way to do it. That just takes a lot of time.
Sure.
But we really started seeing a lot of progress when we started getting the right teammates around us.
How's we'll talk about, you guys applying to 43 North momentarily, but what's kind of the path been to kind of get to this point? What you grew out of Syracuse University, essentially, been working from that point. What's the reaction? I assume like automakers have to have some sort of opinion on what you've been doing, right?
Yeah, most automakers like us. Actually, all automakers like us. We're essentially opening the doors or the floodgates for more electric vehicles to be purchased, which pretty much every automaker is moving towards.
Right.
So we're just making it easier for them to sell cars. The path to get here was, we started out, really small. Started out with just me. By myself, and so growing it to this point, it's taken a lot of help. We've had a lot of mentors. I think of Linda Hartsock, who currently runs Blackstone Launchpad at Syracuse University. Meeting with her for hours on end, right? Going over pitch decks. She even helped with this pitch now. I think she spent probably around 14 hours with me, just practicing this pitch for 43 North. But surrounding the team with, amazing mentors, remember like when we first started out, Tony Kershaw, from Ideas, and Stacy and Dee, meeting with me, every day to develop a business plan. And then, getting that grown and meeting with Seth Mulligan down at the Tech Garden, who, would meet with me once a week and say, all right, let's think through some of your plans and your thoughts here. All the way up until, when we first got, our first institutional investment with PJC, them actually coming along and saying, all right, not only we're going to invest in you, but we're going to help, further you guys. If you need anything, come to us. So surrounding the team with great mentors, investors, and advisors that we can go to help move the company along further has been absolutely crucial.
And of course, every successful startup kind of has that same line about mentorship as you do. So it's fantastic you've had that, that type of guidance along the way. I guess like kind of the surface question I got a lot when people found out you won is, how come one of the big like car conglomerates, or how come some huge battery company isn't working on this problem? How come it's a startup like you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's because we thought differently. I think a lot of the car companies are like, oh, well, there's that pole that's there now, right? What's wrong with that? If it's working, then
sure,
why break it? And we're saying, look, it might be working, but it's not working well. It might not be working at all if you really look under, like, what you guys are doing. And we've essentially said that, we're, just as like we're battery agnostic, we're also car company agnostic. We want to work with everybody, right? So there is no, team A, team B, it's like, hey, like we're here to help everybody. We're here to grow the entire electric vehicle market. So we don't pick sides. We really just want to help the end user.
I would imagine a lot of enthusiasts of electric vehicles are frustrated because like everyone probably wants their own type of proprietary, whether it's charging station. I'm talking about the auto manufacturers, of course. They want something proprietary or something unique that you have to install here or there, and you're obviously coming in there kind of saying, hey, like people just want to charge no matter what, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. I mean, when you think about it, it really doesn't make sense to do it that way, right? If there was a gas pump that only worked with my car and not yours, then it probably wouldn't be too good of a system.
Right.
So, I mean, it really makes sense to work well with everybody, and that's one of the things that we're doing. And we're saying, look, we're taking it a step further. Not only are we going to work with everybody, but we're going to change the way that the system works around the user, right? So having it delivered, right? Saying, like, you don't need to go to one place.
Sure.
You can actually have it delivered anywhere you want. I mean, there's, the day and age that we're in, people want, next level service. And with a car like the electric vehicle, you're able to do that where previously you couldn't or you didn't want to. And so it's almost a question of like, well, why not, right? And I'm really happy that we kind of hopped on it and that we're taking advantage of it.
So where is Sparkcharge available now?
Yeah, so I mean, we're hoping we'll be launching a couple of pilots early next year. Okay. Stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for social media. We're working that out now. We've got a couple of cities like planned and picked out. We're not going to release where, but stay tuned. They'll be coming probably within the next 100 days or so. We'll probably release the cities.
Great. Yeah. So what's that process look like for the user? Like how will they be able to, you got your electric vehicle in city X. Yeah. Oh crap, I need to charge and there's no charging station around. How do I utilize Sparkcharge? Yeah, great question. It's super simple. So let's say you're in the middle of Times Square. You park your car, you open up our app, you say, you know what, I really want around 50, 100 miles, or 50 miles to come to me. You choose 50 miles, you push a button, and it gets delivered to you on the spot. You don't even need to be next to the car. Wow. Yep. And within minutes, hours, days?
Minutes. We're shooting for a delivery time of 10 minutes, under 10 minutes, yeah.
And this is something that your car still has to be parked to charge, correct? You can't like charge on the go, obviously.
Yeah, the car needs to be turned off and parked.
I asked the questions that my dad's going to ask me.
That's not a us thing. That's a car thing. But,
exactly.
If we could charge on the go, we'd charge it on the go.
I know Sparkcharge has gone through Techstars. For those who don't know, obviously can Google search Techstars. But a lot of startups go through Techstars. What's your experience been like so far? What's been good? Yeah, they were really good at bringing companies together. Opening up a new city for us to kind of go and explore and be introduced to. I think, Techstars is great if you're a young company and you really want to like get involved in an ecosystem that's not your own. Techstars, there is no finer service in Techstars to do that. To go to a city for 3 months and get accelerated, that's what they're good at. So let's rewind to about March of this year. We 43 North announced its application period for year 5. Why did you guys apply? Yeah, we applied because we were essentially, everybody from our company is from upstate New York. I've lived here the past 6 years. Richard was born here. Chris, you've been here for the past 8 years. So Jawad, same thing. I mean, we knew that this was New York State's premier business plan competition or pitch competition, and we wanted to be in it. We wanted to represent. We're an upstate New York company headquartered in Syracuse, New York. This is as big and bad as it gets. We wanted to come out here. We had a plan for Buffalo. We met with our advisors and our investors before we even applied and said, like, look, let's do this and let's do it right. We had heard stories of other companies, coming and going. And we said, well, let's put together a plan that keeps Sparkcharge here, keeps manufacturing here, grows jobs, brings jobs. And that's really the reason why we applied. We wanted to bring that to fruition. And then,
to actually get the opportunity to do it was kind of like a cherry on top. It's
Sure.
like, all right, let's do it now.
Yeah, I was in the room when Brian called you, and I was actually telling you this now for the very first time. I was actually recording with our video equipment. Your reaction when Brian called you, you were very excited that you'd made the top 10, of course, as any startup would be. What was going through your mind? I mean, when you got the call, Thursday at 4:00, that in an hour you got to go pitch again for $1 million.
Yeah, that was. We were exhausted, right?
Yeah.
We were I was in the hotel room. Chris and Richard were downstairs in the lobby, and I was just thinking, before we got the call, I was just thinking like, oh man, like, how did we do on the pitch? Did it go well? Just running back every little thing through my mind, every little hiccup or
did I say this? Did I forget this? Or oh crap! Yeah.
Exactly, right. You're just running through, and then the mind kind of like plays jokes, and you're just like, well, if we win, like we can do all this stuff, and it's like, well, what if we don't win? Like,
what now? Yeah.
Yeah, what do we do? And you're like, well, we can still do good things here, right?
Sure.
And so, we were kind of just going that back and forth of, if we don't win, if we win, and then when we got the call, it was just like, like so much excitement, right? Because it was like, all right, round 2, and it was like, let's do it. It was almost like, the bell at the the next round of a boxing match. It was like, ding ding. It was like, all right, well now we're back in it for the finals, right? Now let's go knock that out of the park. And then immediately after that, I was like, well, now I got to go tell Chris and Richard, right? Because they're downstairs, they don't know yet. And so literally like ran out the hotel door and like went downstairs and was like, hey guys, we made it to the finals, and we gave each other a big hug in the lobby. We were just so happy. So, it was just this huge moment of like joy.
Sure. Ever pitched in front of about 3,000 people before?
No, I don't think I've ever pitched in front of about 3,000 people before.
Well, so you go on stage. For some reason, we must have hit the heavy button on the fog machine because it was quite foggy. But you kind of walk the audience through like what goes through a founder's mind going out to a pitch. I mean, you had some top-notch judges out there who certainly pushed you guys pretty hard on some of those questions, plus an audience that was pretty lively. I mean, you got a rousing applause at the end of your 2-minute pitch. So you're walking on stage. What's going through your mind?
Yeah. So you're told that there's 3,000 people watching you. Yeah. And it's funny you bring up the fog machine because it does a really good job of like blocking your sight into the crowd. You can't see past the first 2, maybe 3 rows, so you don't see all these eyes looking at you, which is a bonus. But the moderator who was there did he did a great job.
Bill's awesome.
Bill's amazing. Like making you feel comfortable, welcoming you to the stage. And then it's really just you, lights, and the judges. It's like, all right, let's go. And I mean, we've worked with our mentors, for weeks on that pitch, and it was like, well, now it's time to execute. So you kind of go into this mode of like, all right, like, we're here, this is what we wanted, this is what we asked for, this is what we prayed for, let's do it. And you just hit the clicker.
Did the judges ask you anything that you weren't expecting? Did they throw any, curveballs that just completely out of like threw you for a loop?
There was one, that was pretty interesting. I can't even. The question was so intricate that it's hard to even repeat. But for the most part, the judges' questions were spot on. Okay. They were great questions. They were questions that drove the conversation forward. They were questions that you would expect the judge to ask to learn more about your business. Yeah. We thought the judging was actually top notch. They each had they looked like they had done their homework. They did their research on the company. They were asking educated questions, so it was great.
I think the question you're referring to, was from Woody Benson regarding how geopolitics would somehow impact your business. I think in a nutshell, and I'm probably not doing it any justice, but I think I was like, oh, wasn't expecting any geopolitical questions.
Yeah, that was one that we just didn't see coming.
Yeah, but fortunately for you, that was like the last 10 seconds, so you could somehow just talk your way off stage.
Yeah, and Bill came and got us off stage when that question was asked.
Perfect.
And but that question, I think we were looking at the other judges' faces were like,
where's he going with this?
What? Like, what did he say?
Again, I'm trying to kind of paint the picture of putting the audience kind of in your mind. So backstage, waiting for those 8 names to get called. That's again, what's going through your mind? I mean, it's probably super tense, probably excitement, tense, or was it just a whirlwind of emotion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a whirlwind of emotion, but I mean, you're so, it starts when they say, in no particular order.
Right.
Right. And
that was new this year. Yeah.
In no particular order. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like, are they lying? Like, and then, they call the first company and you're like, they go on stage, and then they call the second company and they go on stage, and you're thinking to yourself, that's two strikes right there. And then they call the third company and you're like, are they going to, did we do a good job? Or did we answer their questions?
Yeah.
What did the judges think of us? What were they thinking? And then, the fourth person goes, and then the fifth person goes. And now you're like, there's only 3 spots left, and we're not, we haven't been called. And it's extremely tense, backstage, because, you're there with, by that time, I think 3 or 4 of the companies, and, maybe 5 of the companies, and, 2 of you aren't going on stage. And you don't know who it is, but, you're all keeping your cool, and, people are standing there and they're extremely nervous. And then when they call your name, you're just like, oh, like, we did enough,
yeah.
right? We did our job. We came here, we came here with a plan, and we succeeded. And, at that point, you're not even thinking about the million, right? You're not thinking about the grand prize. You're just happy that you did enough to be like the 8th finalist, right? And you just want to be on that stage, and you want to get the trophy, and, and then, they call the other, we were 6, and then they called 7th, 8th, and there's, you're so excited, and then you're also kind of looking backstage, and, there's 2 companies there who didn't quite, that didn't make it, sure. And, you want the best for them as well.
Right.
And then, there's the speech, and really good speech, and then they got ready to call the grand prize winner, and, the entire time I was thinking, I was just like, we're just happy to be here, right? Like, we're not worried about the mill, we're thinking like, hey, like, we made it, like, we succeeded. We came here with a plan. We made it to the top 8, we're holding the trophy. We could hear some people calling our names in the audience. We were like super happy to be there. The people who had traveled to see us, they got to see us pitch. They got to see us on stage. And then when they called the $1 million winner,
did it go silent like a movie, like like the climax of like Rocky, where everything's silent and you heard nothing?
You could feel it in the theater. It was like, and the $1 million winner is, and everybody was like, Sparkcharge, and then it was just like, you just didn't know what to do. It was just like, did they call us? And then
right.
Immediately you're thinking like,
wait,
why?
Well, us Sparkcharge.
Yeah. You're like, well, why did you call us, right? Like, we did that.
Did you get the right name? Is that?
Yeah, like, the judges. We answered their questions. Good. Good. Maybe that geopolitical question, didn't go so
bad.
Put us over the
edge,
right? Right. And so you're just, you're elated and you're full of joy, and you're over the moon, and to see, all the people that you've been spending the past 4 days with, all these other companies, come up and congratulate you and wish you well, and, it just means a lot. And one of the things that we're super excited to really get to work on is like actually spending time with the other companies here. Everybody comes here in January, and we're really excited to like meet, this cohort, meet this class, and get to know, some of the things that they're going through. One of the things that, we did learn going through like another accelerator was, hey, like, the class that you go in with, you really do learn a lot from. You can learn quite a bit from a CEO perspective. Like, we're part of a CEO group, and a lot of times you'll be surprised that a lot of CEOs go through the exact same thing. And so we're super excited to get to learn more about them, some of the things that they're going through, how we can help, how they can help. We're excited to get that going.
As I've talked to many CEOs on this show, and of course here at the incubator, it's funny how every problem seems unique to that startup, but then you talk to other founders and CEOs, it's like, oh, so many of us are have the same exact problems.
Same exact problem. It's weird, but I mean, everybody's climbing a mountain, right? And so we're just trying to. They're essentially climbing almost the exact same mountain. They're trying to reach, their goals, and we're trying to reach our goals. So the more that we can do to help each other out, the better.
So you kind of mentioned on stage, but for those who might be listening, who weren't there or didn't see the stream, what is your plan for Buffalo?
Yeah, so our plan for Buffalo is, we essentially started it yesterday. We were at the University of Buffalo, and we were starting to take job applicants and things like that. So we plan on hiring people here within the next coming months, and then we plan on essentially we plan on hiring we plan on doing a lot of hiring before January.
Great.
And then when January comes, we're really going to sit down with the city, sit down with the 43 North staff and say, let's build out this hiring plan together. But we've already got a pipeline for hiring that we're building like now. Mm-hmm. So we fully expect to do a lot of manufacturing here, a lot of assembly. We want to work with some of the manufacturers that you already have. We want to work with the city. We're just going to do some really amazing things here. And I think, it's almost like we can't wait till January, right? Because, we're starting the engines now, but we can't wait to just pull it and drive.
Well, having gone through, I started 43 North March of last year, and I can tell you firsthand, while it only seems like it's October, January 1 comes
around really
very,
quick.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially when you throw a few holidays in the mix.
Yeah.
So for folks who are listening who want to learn more, for folks who might be looking for a new gig, and you guys are obviously, you said hiring, how can they learn more about Sparkcharge and get involved?
Yes, our website's a really good source of information. You can contact us on there day and night. We have a contact page you can fill out, ask us questions. Connect with us on LinkedIn is a really good way to do direct connections. We've already started getting people connecting with us on LinkedIn for like jobs and things like that here in the city. So I'd say our website, number one, feel free to give us an email, write us a message, send us a note, connect with us on LinkedIn. We'll definitely chat it up. But yeah, we're super accessible. We want to talk with people here in Buffalo. We want to meet with people in Buffalo. If you're looking for a job in the engineering field, we're hiring. So definitely connect with us there.
All right, Joshua, we will certainly be having you on the podcast again sometime next year, but obviously we'll be following the progress along with you here at 43 North. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know it's been very busy last few days for you, and I know you're looking to finally take a breather. So.
Finally take a breather, right? Finally hop on that plane. But yeah, super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us. Big shout out to Linda Hartsock. For really helping the team and I get ready for this competition, being in our corner. Big shout out to Mike Cunningham, Zada Shai, Dan Conway over at PJC. Big shout out to Jason Steinberg, Brian Steinberg, and Manuela over at Laven. Big shout out to Mike and Boris Kratiknik for helping us out. We're super excited. We're so happy to have that group around us. Braden, super big shout out to him too. Blackstone Launchpad, the Blackstone Launchpad family. Really, 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 without them, without all of our friends and families and supporters out there, we wouldn't have been able to do this. So really big shout out to them.
Fantastic. All right, Josh, we'll talk to you soon. And for 43 North, I'm Nate Benson. We'll see you at the next one.